in the shop today, working on the boat again. Gonna get started on wiring now that we have all the hard parts installed, because that's kind of where they have to go. So I'll probably start by cutting another hole in that piece of wood for this switch panel. Probably just gonna go right in the middle, kinda somewhere like that, so it's easy to get to for either person. This will run our probably have our bilge pumps on the top, and then we'll put navigation light, anchor light, whatever else we want on those three switches. Oh, and we'll have lights. These lights here will be on the gunnels, so that's cool. But to get started, we'll take that off, mark a spot for this to go, and go from there. Okay, now that we got our little square marked out here, should be right in the middle of the panel, which will put it right to the port side of the steering stick. As I marked, the steering stick is right here, so we'll be right to the side of it, and it'll look kind of good being in the middle, at least I hope. So I'm gonna drill a hole in each corner of this, and then we'll get the jigsaw in there and cut that out. Alright, let's see if that hole's the right size. Yeah, that will work. So we'll get some little screws, screw that down on all four corners, and we'll have us a nice switch panel mounted on our engine cover. Alright, we got the front deck taken off. You might be wondering, why'd you take the front deck off? Well, it's going to make it a lot easier to wire in my bow lights and redo the wiring for the trolling motor battery, because originally it ran along the side of the boat there, which now it's going to run underneath because there's going to be a floor over all this. So we're going to redo that wiring, do something with this wood while it's off. I don't know if I'm going to stain it or fiberglass over it or what I'm going to do to it, but we're going to do something to it, as well as the fronts here. So we'll get this plug. I have to cut the wires off of the trolling motor plug because this plug won't go through the floor. So I'll either cut this off here, or I'm going to cut the ends off the wires in the back and just pull the whole thing through the front. All right, now that we got our switch panel mounted back there, I'm going to get started at the front, which is going to have these lights here. These are my navigation lights. Got a red one and a green one. I don't know which one's which, so I have to find that out before I put them on the boat. But I've got the gas tank draining because I have to do. I'm going to run the wires under that. So instead of draining it into gas cans, I'll just put it in the El Camino because this is full of premium gas. So that'll be nice. And we're gonna get these mounted. Okay, so I got the front of the boat all cleaned up. I got that anchor rope thing that was up here taken off because it didn't work anyways, and I don't have an anchor up here. I might end up building a box and putting one there, but that'll be later. Since I don't have a flat side to put these on, I'm gonna mount these right about like that on the side of the boat, so you should be able to see them from plenty far away. So we're gonna get these, figure out exactly where we're gonna put them, and then drill a hole through the aluminum right there and run the wires into the hull of the boat. Okay, got these stuck on here. Those just have 3M double stick tape, so I cleaned the aluminum real good, warmed it up a little bit because it is a little chilly out here. Stuck those on, got the wires running through a hole here that I'm going to fill up with a little bit of 5200 the next time I have it out, just so that that's watertight and it'll keep that wire from moving around in there. It'll be like a little grommet. So those are both mounted, hopefully on the right sides. I lengthen the wires so they'll come out. I'm gonna tie these two together into one strand of wire and run it back to the fuse box. Alright, so I got me a big negative cable here, well, just a black wire, but we're going to call this a negative cable. And it's going to run up here and get hooked into this negative wire on the switch panel. And what I'm going to do, so I can hook everything up at the switch panel, is I'm going to run basically a Y at the end of this wire. So it'll have one that goes in here, and then it'll have another female spade or male spade, it doesn't really matter, that comes off of it, that all the other grounds will be hooked to, because there's not going to be a lot of load. Even if everything was running at once, the most load will probably be the 2 bilge pumps, but everything else is lights and it's all LEDs, so it's not going to pull any juice, so it should be fine. Alright, I had to go to the store, but I got some connectors, so I've got this end of my thing done. I've got a female spade that will go into the fuse box, and then a male spade that I will have another female that all the grounds will be attached to for all the LED lights in the boat. That way I don't have to run 2 wires, I can just run this one really big one. I'm getting started on the power wire, which is the same size wire. I got a ring terminal on there with some heat shrink that'll go to this wing nut here, and then we'll shorten it down and put a spade on it for the other side. Okay, I don't know where I left off, but I got the lights for the front wired. So now, right now they're just on this 3rd switch, so when you turn that on, they're on up here on the front of the boat. Kind of cool. So there's a light on the panel that tells you that it's on also, so that's cool. Also got the bilge pumps hooked up to the top switch, because I figure that'll be the one I'd use the most. I mean, I probably won't use it because these are also automatic, and they have a float switch, so they'll come on if there's water in the back automatically. Now I'm going to get working on the anchor light, which I have this socket. It's kind of crusty on the bottom, but it looks nice on top. I got this off of one of my other boats that I have just sitting in the backyard. Got some terminals on the end. This will get mounted somewhere here through the back deck that's sitting against the wall. So I'm just going to run some wires to back here that will be for this. Whenever the back deck gets mounted, we'll put this back in it. Got our light switch wired up here. Everything's got heat shrink on it. Found this old pole in one of the other boats. So now if you turn on the 4th switch, the light comes on. Now that we got the lights wired up, I'm going to start working on this harness right here. This is the harness for the gauges, and it needs to be longer now that we moved where the computer is. So I'm going to take it out from underneath the little strap in the floor, cut it off again, and rewire it again to make it about 2 feet longer. Alright, we're going to get started wiring up a new set of wires for the trolling motor. They're going to not go through the switch panel, obviously. So I've got a spool of heavy wire here. I think this is 10 or 8 or something. 10 gauge, probably plenty. I got one of these in black also, so I'm going to run a new set of wires all the way up to the front. I forgot my terminals, so they're just going to hang out up in here somewhere for now, and then whenever I bring my spade terminals in, I'll put them on. That way I can unplug my plug that's on the front deck without having to cut the wires if I need to remove it. All right, I got my 2 extra wires run. Got ring terminals on this end. Wires are running through the boat. They'll eventually all get kind of tied together in the middle. And then they're just hanging out up here for now. Eventually I'll remember to bring my terminals over so I can crimp them on there, and I'll be able to plug those in to the bottom of the plug that's on the front deck. Which is right here. Just got these wires here, so instead of having to cut that every time you want to take the front deck off, it's going to have plugs so you can remove it slightly more easily. Okay, I didn't record it because the big radiator was running and you can't hear anything, but I've got the power wires. This is for the fish finder. I've got those spliced into another set of wires that goes all the way back to the battery, because those I'm going to also just run direct. Those are ready to be terminated at the battery end. The only other thing electrical that I can wire right now is these lights here. These are going to go on the gunnels, but I don't want to put those in yet until the boat has been painted on the inside. But the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to plug them into each other, because you can do that, and then I'm going to run 2 of them down this side, and then the wire will actually come out the front and then go down under the floor. That way you don't see any wire, because if you ran them out the back, you would have a wire that would have to make its way down in there somewhere. So this is going to go to the front and then back. It'll use more wire, but should make for a slightly cleaner install. So we'll probably go ahead and get some wires run for those so we can work on that after the boat's painted. All right, we're getting ready to, we're taking a break from the wiring, and we're going to mount some angle iron, kind of like this. It's going to be mounted here on the other side, and then back here on the gunnel here, just so that when the deck's on and if you're standing here, you don't get a lot of flex in the wood. So I'm going to go ahead, get some cut out on the bandsaw and get it riveted on the boat. Got all my pieces cut out here. I already got one piece clamped on over here on this side where it's going to go. Now I'm going to take my drill probably 4 holes across there, put some rivets in so it's nice and solid, and then we'll move on, do the one on the other side, and then the ones on the front will be a little trickier, but we'll get it taken care of. All right, as you saw, we got this riveted on. The other side's already done. So now I've got these other 4 pieces, and they're gonna go right up here like this. But if you look, it might be kind of hard to see on camera. Let's see. If I just riveted that on like this, this is not at the right angle. So it needs to be down like that. So I'm going to take all these pieces over into the vise and give them a little bit of a squeeze until it sits in there flat, and then we'll rivet them on once they're fitting how they're supposed to.
Okay, got all these pieces in. I got 2 here, 2 there, 1 in that box, 1 in there. So now when the deck goes back on, if you're walking across here, should be a lot more sturdy. Plus, if I put a hatch here, I'll end up running angle all the way around the inside, just so that when the hatch shuts, it's not flopping on this edge. I'll do that probably on this hatch. And that hatch, this here, I probably won't put hatches in because there's nothing I will have to get to very often. And if I need to take the whole rear deck off, it won't be that big of a deal because I actually bought nut certs and stainless bolts, so it shouldn't be a big deal to pop this hatch off or put it back on whenever we're working on it. I went ahead and got these 2 terminals put on for the trolling motor. I've got 2 more for the plug under the deck whenever I put that back on. The last thing I'm going to do for the wiring is run the wires for these gunnel lights. They're going to go obviously on the gunnel, kind of like this. Probably overkill. There's 4 foot of them. Maybe two over here, 2 over there. The way I'm going to run the wiring, I think I said earlier, I'm going to run it under the front deck and then down and then under the floor and back. That way there's not any wires to catch on or anything while you're in the boat. So I'm going to run the wiring and then roll these lights up and just stick them on top of the gas tank for now. And we will mount them after the inside of the boat is painted and has a floor and everything in it. That way we don't paint over them and make them not as bright. All right, now that we got all the wiring done in the boat, at least 99% of it, just have to do a little bit more under the rear deck, but that's nothing major. We're going to get started on running crossbars in the floor. Like there's going to be 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, probably 4 of them across there, that then the wooden floorboards will screw down to. But that's going to be in the next video. So if you want to see that part, make sure you like and subscribe. That's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.